Good evening.
Hi.
It's Vicky and Sam.
Welcome back. Nice to see y'all again.
Right. It's been a super time now. It's been a little over a week because somebody had to go back to North Carolina and buy horses.
Yep.
And she didn't even bring them down here, so I don't have any ponies here yet.
Oh, we will. The horses will come visit. But also, I did tell you that I probably wouldn't make it back by Monday. I didn't say that I would be back by Thursday. I was thinking more like Tuesday, but you know how it goes.
Yeah, and it's
Animals.
Friday. So.
Oh, is it Friday?
Yeah. It's
Well, I was here yesterday afternoon.
Yep, you were. And then you had a basketball game yesterday.
Oh my gosh, yes. Orlando Magic versus Denver Nuggets. We're cheering for the Nuggets because I'm from Wyoming, and Wyoming doesn't have a basketball team, so.
So we have to cheer for the surrounding states teams.
Yeah. But Magic won.
Because they're Florida residents now, so that's good news.
Yeah, most of the time we'll be Magic's fans. We're going to try stuff.
You can cheer for both, and whoever wins is the one you claim you cheered for the most.
People get really angry about that. People get salty. Has anybody ever been to, let's go get Mini Highlands? Don't tempt me.
That's Holly.
Oh my goodness, don't tempt me, Holly.
So Holly's going to move down here, and then what Botox do you have?
Me? Like
Yeah.
Botox, like I got Botox?
No, it's just a hat.
Oh, you're talking about this? Yeah, no, this covers my wrinkles. I did get lip injections like 2 years ago, but I haven't had Botox. But thank you. I'm going to take that to mean that I look good.
Aha. What are we talking about tonight? We are talking about ethical dog breeding.
Yes, we have to talk ethics and breeding. Such a hot topic, right?
It is. Sexy hot.
Sexy hot. And also, just how heated it makes me when people do it unethically.
Right? Totally. Or when they say, even worse is when they say they're doing it ethically, but they're not. Or they're screwing up puppies. And that irks me very much so.
Yeah, especially when you're so committed to service work and puppies that are going to turn into dogs that serve the public and help really make it where people can live their lives to the fullest or at all in some cases.
Yeah.
I would get it. And the breeding that you do and how much work you put into ensuring that you are getting all the little boxes marked as far as what you can do to ensure that we get to that goal.
We want to tick everything.
Yeah, tick everything. Tink, 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 tink. And not like Lyme disease ticks.
Yeah, definitely. And the fact that we have 2 litters of puppies coming up next week, and we had them at the vet yesterday for their x-ray, and yes, oh my gosh, I had somebody ask, like, is it safe for them to get x-rays? No, it's not safe for them to get x-rays. That's why we do it. Ha 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 ha! Yes, of course it's safe for them to get x-rays. Why do we do puppy count x-rays? We do the 1 x-ray set. They did 2 shots because they are huge, and it's so we have an idea of how many puppies. When Princess, it was the easiest because it was 2 puppies. So we are not waiting to see if there's more puppies coming and wondering and worrying. So if we get 1 puppy and we know that there's at least 10 in there, yeah. But what if we're thinking it's 12, but we do the x-ray and there's only 6 puppies in there? Then we don't have to. What would be the option? The other alternatives is to do an oxytocin shot, not oxycodone. We don't do that. Oxytocin shot, which could hurt the puppies before they come out if it's too much, and the contractions could be too much for them because it goes like this. Or we pack up mama and babies because you can't leave the babies here, and we drive to the vet and we get the x-ray taken halfway through delivering. What if we're on the way there and more puppies start popping out of her? So for us, what we've started doing is about 5 days before they're due, well, day 58, so I guess it's about a week before they're due, we go and we get into the vet and we get a puppy count x-ray. Plus, it's something fun, and I have been this patient for 8 weeks on waiting and wondering, and I figure we've all earned it.
Yes, we've all earned it. It's just as safe for them to get x-rays as it is for me or you. Do you want to be doing them just for flippantly all the time? No, but you can get an x-ray.
We don't do weekly x-rays.
No, you can do one. You can do one.
It's one. So, yeah. And then people, of course, always comment on our stuff about adopt and shop. And it's like, you realize that people who are the adopt and shop crowd are ones that don't like dog breeders, period. they only like crappy breeders because that's the dogs that end up in shelters, are the ones whose breeders won't take them back. The ones who don't have contracts that enforce them. So, every time I see that, I'm just like, aw, bless your heart, in the mean Southern way.
Yes. And I'm all about adopt. I want you to adopt ethically, and I want you to shop ethically. I don't care which one you do. But in the world that you have created here, where you can really build the perfect material to have a service dog from, why would you risk? It's just not where we're at. We're not going to adopt puppies when we can breed them beautifully and ethically and ensure that they don't end up in those shelters where the people from the adopt don't shop crowd are trying to prevent them from being. They won't end up there.
And there's great rescues, but there's also shady rescues, right?
Oh, yes. I have experienced, in my time in rescue work, I have experienced unethical rescues and just unethical adoption facilitations.
Yeah.
Even if the rescue's doing great, the person that they have facilitating their adoptions or that particular foster home may not be everything you wanted it to be or everything you needed it to be.
Right? And whenever rescues start joking, wink wink, about breeding dogs so they have more dogs and they can sell puppies faster than they can sell adult dogs, and they're importing them from other countries, claiming that they're meat dogs. Because, really, who's going to eat a chihuahua? I know we like to eat wings, but, really? Ugh. So, just do it right, guys. I don't care what you want. Just do it right.
Yes.
And how do you do breeding right? Well, we've got a checklist here because that's the best way to keep all your ticks in a row. First one is health testing. Okay? And that is for the parents of the puppies. The puppies won't get health tested until they're older. We will start health testing usually around 4 months on up, and see if the one that we're keeping or the ones that we're keeping are the ones that we actually are going to keep for our program. So for health testing, how do you find out what age is the youngest that you should do it at and what tests it should be? And there's a lot of weird info out there and not everything correlates. So this is going to be my recommendation to you. And of course, I'm going to base everything on Goldens because it's easier. But you want to check OFA, which is the Orthopedic Foundation of America. And you can go to their website and you can search. You can't search by, like Ginger, our Ginger, right? But you can search by her AKC name, which is, what is her? Tramin ethnic style. I did not name her. That's how she came. It's a weird name.
She has style.
She does. It was the E litter.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway.
And Lucy is Tramin terra mystica, which I think is like a pretty snazzy name.
That is. That one is more snazzy.
Right. So we always recommend start there. Now, if they have all the health testing needed, they should have their CHIC number. And that's Canine Health Certification. I don't know what it stands for, but it's a CHIC number, CHIC. And that just shows that they have everything. You can also look at breed clubs. So if you're looking at Golden Retrievers, you look at the Golden Retriever Club of America. And the Golden Retriever Club or the specific breed club is what tells AKC, this is what we require. But you should also be able to look on the AKC site for what the health testing is for that breed.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I was about to ask, what about if they're not doing Golden Retrievers? Where's the first stop? The AKC, to see what testing they recommend for that breed. And then if your breeder isn't doing it, well, maybe that's
run away.
That's not one you want to use.
Like a lot of times, and I'm not going to pick on doodles, but most doodles, I have yet to meet a doodle breeder who does complete health testing. And I've done podcasts on this before. I've done lives on this before. And I usually have a doodle breeder who would come on. I mean, not always the same one, but like doodle breeders would come on, or in our professional groups would have people who come on and they're like, hey, my doodle breeder or this breeder that I know does complete health testing. And I say, fantastic, please send me what it is that they do. Or just give me the website and I can look it up on my own. And every single time, all they do is they'll just do a genetic panel and claim that that's full and complete health testing. And it's not. Canine Health Information Center. Thank you, Holly.
Nice. So what's the difference between canine health testing and the genetic panel?
So with the health testing that we do for Goldens, we look at hips, elbows, eyes, and heart. Eyes have to be done annually. Heart has to be done over a year old. Now, here's the funky part about heart, because we're going through it right now, because we have 4 dogs who are over a year. And we want to make sure that we get their heart checked, but well before they're 2, because it's hard to get into a cardiologist to do that. And you have to go to a cardiologist. So if you do an oscillation, which is just to listen to, it's okay. But what they're wanting is an echo. Even though that's not what the breed club says, that's getting to be more the gold standard. And I've talked to some cardiologists about it, and they're like, no, just do the oscillation. And if we hear anything that needs an echo, we'll do the echo. Whereas some of the people online are like, nope, get an echo. Just get an echo. Get an echo. So that's what we have to decide.
If you came up to someone that was, and you found out, like a potential breeder, and you found out they were doing an echo, not the oscillation, you'd say, all right, you're going above and beyond. That would be an impressive thing for your breeder to be doing. Yep,
most definitely. And it's not like it's out the dog any, because it's an echo, so it's like an ultrasound type of thing. And it works. So you've got that, and the eyes have to be done annually.
Oh, so if you've got like a breeder you're looking at, and the parents of your litter that you're going to pick from are 4 and 5 years old, you should expect to see 4 and 5 eye tests, at least for golden retrievers.
Yes. Now, for sometimes, like when COVID came, it was hard to do them.
Okay.
Because everything shut down. So, some people got a buy for that. We got a buy actually last summer. Lita and Ginger they had their litters last summer. And they're, Aladdin and Hercules, and they were due. Like, we had them ready to go in. We had them signed up for an eye clinic, and they came into heat, and they got pregnant. And I wasn't going to bring them to an eye clinic when they're pregnant. So, we got a buy on that, but as soon as they were done, we found one, and again, it took a couple months to get in, but we got them.
But at most, if your dog, you can excuse one missed eye exam. If you've got a 5-year-old stud dog who's only had one eye exam, now my eyebrows are raised, and it's not the Botox.
Right? Well, hopefully it's not the Botox, but yeah. So that's what we look for with Goldens. And then, health testing, x-rays, hips and elbows. Elbows, it's just x-rays, right? But hips can be done through OFA or through pen hip. And what OFA does is it'll look at the picture of the x-ray, and for prelims, one of the vets looks at it and says, I think it's this. And apparently they will judge puppies a little harsher, and they will judge Goldens a little harsher. And guess what? We have golden puppies. So they are judged like double harsh. But for the adult dogs, when they come in, they go to 3 different vets. Apparently, they change them out monthly. So they'll give a guess, their estimate of it, another one's estimate of it, and the third, and then they take the average. So if you have a good, fair, it's going to be a good. If you have a good, excellent, it's going to be a good.
Okay.
And that's how OFA does. It's somebody's opinion. Okay?
Well, 3 somebody's opinion that then they averaged.
Yep, 3 somebody's opinion. Whereas for pen hip, it's a measurement. But how they have to do pen hip is they take and they adjust the hips, and they'll take pictures. So the dog has to be sedated. And some people will sedate for the OFAs also, but not everybody. But pen hip is supposed to be better. But we were debating, do we want to do pen hips with the puppies? They do pull on the hip joint a little bit. It's not supposed to hurt the dog, but the puppies don't have the muscle that'll help hold it into place. So while we've done some, we don't want to subject our puppies to that. So our goal right now, what we're doing is we are doing OFA prelims anywhere from 4 to 6 months old, or when we can get in. I have a vet that I like for it. So we'll get those, and then when they hit 2 years old and 1 day, we can schedule them for their OFA finals and for their pen hip. So then we have both informations, and we can look at those and decide if this is a dog that we feel would be a good dog for breeding.
Yeah, because we only want the best, right? As here, we only want the best. And I'm speaking to you guys as if I know that you only want the best as well. And if you're looking for the second best, then this isn't your podcast. We're here for the best.
Right, we do.
The best for service work. That's what we focus on anyway.
Yes. Yes, I want the best, because people who have a disability do not need to have a dog with a disability. They need to have the dog that is going to help them to live the most normal life possible.
Yeah, normal,
Yeah.
And for some of them, it's to live any life at all. So there's not room for mistakes with these puppies. And if there is something along the line, we want to catch it. Because maybe there are things that happen that, God may strike us with a puppy that ends up with some kind of eye condition, even though both parents were tested and tested and tested again. And we don't see that until that puppy is 6 or 7 months old. Well, then that puppy is retired from the breeding program, or maybe can't perform for the person they were set out for. So now we have to find that person a different puppy that will, and we wouldn't know that if we weren't doing all the testing.
And it actually happened to us. And if you guys remember Apple from our Snow White litter, she was our keeper girl, and we had her eyes tested between 4 and 6 months old, I think about 4-ish. And it turned out she had something in her eye. I don't remember what it is, but it was something in the eye, and the vet said it's not going to affect her. It's not going to affect her quality of life. She could still go on to be a service dog. He's telling me this. I'm like, no. It's okay. It's okay. It's fine. It's okay. I had somebody who might be interested in her, and I was already texting them saying, hey, what do you got? Are you still interested in Apple? Because she is no longer in the breeding program.
And dogs that come out of the breeding program or out of the prospects for service work go into lovely pet homes that have been heavily vetted, or some have gone on to be therapy or comfort dogs. They have great places to go to. We don't toss them out in the street. We're not putting them in shelters.
Yeah. They don't go into shelters.
That's something you should ask your breeder about, whatever breed you're getting, is what do they do with the dogs that don't make the cut?
Yeah. We've had a total of 2 dogs returned to us. And 2 dogs, the owners decided it was too much work with the service dog. And so we discussed it, and they found a new home for the dog and contacted us, and we contacted the recommendations and approved them. And so it's not that everyone worked out perfect.
Yeah. And you've had a dog. Didn't you have a dog that you kept he had severe health conditions, right? And you
Bucky.
kept him for his entire life. He was too severe of a health case.
And he wasn't one that we bred. He was one we purchased as a potential add-on to the breeder program. And it was Bucky. And he had so many health issues, and they came to light about a month into having him. He was having some serious stuff going on, and it took a couple more weeks to get fully diagnosed. The breeder did refund our money, and when we said, hey, the contract says that he gets returned back to you, do you want him? Because we want to make sure we stay in our contract that we signed, in our legally binding contract. And she said, no, we don't want him up here. You guys are down there. You guys have UF. You guys have Orlando. You guys have Tampa. We are out in the boonies a few states away. So how about you keep him and then get him the medical attention he needs? And he passed before that could happen.
But he lived a lovely life here.
He did.
He was very loved.
He got to do anything he wanted to do. Talk about a spoiled dog.
Anything he wanted except for, do the nasty.
Right.
Everything he wanted except that. He was out.
Right. Well, and we couldn't even neuter him. And he died before he was a year old. But we couldn't neuter him. He couldn't undergo anesthesia because of this medical condition that he had. So what are you going to do with a dog like that?
And with certain breeds, medical conditions like that are more common. So you may want to, before you even start looking at a breeder, start looking at, is the choice in breed good for you? And how hard is it going to be? Because there are some breeds that attract more unethical people trying to take advantage of the fad or whatever that's undergoing than others. So your likelihood to be scammed or to be brought into something that you don't want to be brought into, to be made a part of this dirty, breeding, poor, unhealthy, unfit dogs, you want to do your research. Make sure you know that you're not putting yourself out there asking for trouble.
Yes. Oh, most definitely. The research is huge, yeah. And one of them, and Sparkles. Mm-hmm. Sparkles was originally going to be part of the breeding program, and her hip score was great. Her elbow score was fantastic. Well, she passed. It was normal, which is still fantastic. But she had a slight underbite.
Yep.
And that removed her from the breeding program.
Yeah. Even though it affected her none at all. Like, she could have still performed.
And she still picks up stuff.
Yeah.
But it was removed. So we have very high standards for what we want in our breeding program.
Yeah, because we're trying to be the best.
Damn
the
right.
Best.
Yeah. Would allergies be considered genetic? Probably more environmental than genetic. And it all depends. So Rhea, actually, and we just got her OFAs back. She's completely, her prelims, she's passed. She's in the breeding program. She flew out to Sacramento, and she had really severe allergies out there due to the environment, because she was fine here before. She was out there for less than a week, and she was fine back here since. She has been fantastic. And so that, for me, is not a reason to remove hers, because she had allergies in a different environment. And speaking of, I have allergies, right? Guess what? I'm allergic to dogs and horses. But like severely allergic to horses, but I'm still allergic to dogs. The only way I can breathe in my bedroom with usually 8 dogs sleeping in here at night with us, not on the bed, on the floor, and their beds, is I have air purifier going. A pretty big size one. And then with the puppies coming, with 20 new puppies coming, we're going to bring in a second air purifier. Because if not, I can't sleep and I can't breathe. And you know what? It's really nice to be able to breathe.
Yeah, if you can't breathe, I don't know what I'll do.
Right? I'll have to move out to a little RV.
Yeah. Nah, you
Me
can
and
move
Bird.
in with us.
Okay. We'll make Ray sleep on the
Happy
floor.
Black History Month. Yeah, it is
Nice.
Black History Month. All the players on Orlando Magic's side last night at the NBA game were wearing special Black History Month sweatshirts.
Nice.
I thought that was pretty cool.
That is neat. What about food allergy sensitivity? A lot of times that depends. Here we have not had food allergies and sensitivity. We feed Purina Pro Plan 3020, and we'll feed Farmina Puppy Ancient Grains. And we don't have food allergies. Now, we notice when we switch them from the Purina to the Farmina, their stools will get a little soft. We give them Propelectin, or we'll give them a probiotic or the Purina Fortiflora, and they firm right up, and we're good. So we don't have food allergies here. I know some owners, when they go home, they do, but a lot of times what we've noticed is they're the owners who want the dogs to be on the bougie food.
Yeah, but don't take the time to switch it over, because it takes months to rebalance your gut.
Yeah. And they're not doing probiotics. And it's, that's what we found. What OFAs do you do? For Goldens, it's hips, elbows, eyes, and heart. So that's what we'll do with the Goldens. We also do the genetic panel. We can do that through Embark or Paw Print Genetics. Paw Print Genetics will look at the ichthyosis 2, which is a newer test for the Goldens. And then Embark will look at the coefficient of inbreeding. So I like to do both eventually, just so we have them. Yeah. But it's just one small thing. Is your dog a carrier, clear, or affected? And if you remember the Mendel square with the peas, the tall peas and the short peas that we all did in middle school, right? The Pundit square, I believe it's called also.
You are correct.
Right? With the big B, little b, little b, little b. Half of them will be carriers, half of them will be clear. So some of our girls are carriers, and that's fine. But as we have litters, we make sure that if we have a carrier, we breed her to a clear, which limits our stud pool because not every stud has been tested. But as we're keeping for future generations, we're trying to do just clear. That's going to be the end goal, because then it doesn't matter. Like, we have some frozen semen that we have access to that could be amazing, because it's like 20-year-old frozen semen. Except guess what? They weren't doing genetic testing 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
So I can do it with Lita right now, but she's my only clear girl who's of breeding age. Because Lucy and Princess are mother-daughter, and they're PRA1 carriers, and Ginger's an Icky carrier for Icky1.
So that makes me think you would want to, if you're thinking of other dog breeds that you might be wanting to get from a different breeder, not Vicky, you would want to see what is it that they are doing for their breed, right? Not only for themselves and the dogs in their genetic pool, but like Vicky is trying to eliminate this ichthyosis out of her lines, and then any dogs from those lines, from her lines, that may go on to enter the genetic pool in other breeders' arenas, she will be having positively contributed to the overall genetic health of all golden retrievers, because there are only so many to pull from. There are only so many non-related, especially in certain breeds.
Yeah.
Certain breeds, like what were you saying? Poodles have experienced a drop in genetic diversity.
Yeah.
German Shepherds have exhibited a dramatic drop in genetic diversity. And when you lose genetic diversity, you lose things like the
diversity that is genetics.
Yes, diversity in genetics. Like, you don't want the same messed up chromosomes having more likelihood to repeat.
Do you guys, if you're familiar with, like, say, European royalty, how inbred it got in, like, the Habsburg line, yes. We don't want that. We want healthy dogs. Why? Because healthy dogs are going to live longer. Genetically healthy dogs are going to live longer. So that's one of the really positives with our 3 founding mamas, Ginger and Lucy and Lita, coming from Europe and being European imports. We did our first 2 litters were done with European males also, hence Sparkles and Princess. Those were our keepers from those litters. But since then, we have done American show lines. And what we found when we were doing the embark is our coefficient of inbreeding cut in half or more. Some of them cut about, more than half, just based on doing the American show line and European show line. And we're getting really gorgeous dogs who are very smart and they love to work. Mm-hmm. So that's what I really like. It works out really well.
Perfect. So I would maybe consider looking into what health problems plague your breed, the breed you intend to purchase for yourself, and then ask your breeder what they are doing in their position to combat that. What are they doing for the breed to help combat whatever health problem plagues them, like the blindness in Great Danes, or the skin issues in bully
Poodles
breeds.
have that too. Dobermans will have the DCM, the dilated cardiomyopathy. Dobermans are very, very unhealthy as a breed, as a whole. And that's why whenever we had Candy, who was working as my personal service dog for mobility, and we were just going through health testing for her for doing her job as a service dog, and she was coming back amazing with everything. Her hips were amazing. Her heart was amazing, and it was very unique to find a dog who was as good as she was, that we had to breed her. Like, we had to do that for the breed. Dobermans have so many health tests that they have to go through. And, we had done 1 litter, and the puppies, it wasn't good. The puppies were not born alive. So we did 1 more litter to see. And those litters, that litter, I think about half of them went out as service dogs. And then half of them went as pets. Yeah, Del-Willebrands is another one, which is a blood clotting disorder. So it can be very difficult for some of these breeds, some of these purebred groups, because they do have a closed stud book, a closed gene pool.
Yeah. That can get real scary, especially when you start looking at like these designer coat colors and stuff. Oh my gosh, if they merle one more dog breed, I'm going to scream.
We're not going to merle golden.
Yeah, we won't have any merle golden retrievers. There'll be no blue-eyed golden retrievers born here, no silvers. We're not doing any of that.
Right. So for goldens, it's hips, elbows, eyes, and heart. That's like so memorized because I tell everybody hips, elbows, eyes, and heart.
And she's told you guys like 5 times.
Yeah, just in this episode. Yeah. Imagine if you listen to more of them. For labs, because I found out for labs, it's hips, elbows, eyes, and then heart and genetics. So there's something in labs called exercise-induced collapse.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine that? Labs who love to exercise have something called exercise-induced collapse. PRA-PRCD, which is an eye thing, a D-locus DNA, and a CNM, I don't know what that is. But those are genetic ones for labs. But otherwise, they're pretty close to goldens, right? Hips, elbows, eyes, and hearts. For poodles, it's hips and eyes. They don't have elbows, but when we did Roma, we did her elbows. She was under in one. Or, yeah. I think they put her under for that.
Yeah, I'd rather have more information than less.
Yeah. And then it's weird, because in poodles, you can choose one. A thyroid, SA, which is a skin one, or heart. So we did her heart.
You can choose one to have them test for?
Yeah. That's the poodle health thing. It's not all 3 of them, and it's heart, thyroid, and skin, and it's like, oh.
Those are also different. I want to know they're all good.
Right?
Weird.
And it was really hard to find someone for this essay. Apparently, they'll, like, punch out some skin, and I'm like, well, that sounds really mean.
Like a hole punch? Like,
yeah. Yeah, like what they do with your cervix sometimes.
Yeah.
Which isn't fun. So I'm like, well, if it's not fun on my hoo-ha, it's not going to be fun on the dog either. The thyroid we could have done, but like I said, we ended up doing the heart with Roma because we figured that's... And she gets her thyroid checked. We do that as part of our breeding protocol, and she's always been good with it. So yeah.
So those are... I think we've covered the most common breeds chosen for service work.
Yeah.
And at least to our knowledge, what we think you should start looking out for and what you should start looking for as far as health testing being done by the breeder that you are looking at.
And these have to be done with the parents, both parents. It is not enough for them to say, the parents were healthy. Why? My vet said so.
No, and make sure, I've had people tell me, oh yeah, they're health checked, or everybody's seen it on those Facebook groups, health tested, health tested,
certified.
health certified, and really they just mean they went to the vet and got the vet to do a general exam and then
Give
say,
him a
yep,
shot.
looks good.
Yeah.
Yep, looks good. And that's not enough. That's not enough.
It's not at all. Not for what we want. And not for what breeders have to do better. Mm-hmm. Okay? I've been told by a few different breeders that we go way more above and beyond. And I kind of like that. I want to be the one who goes above and beyond.
Especially if we're hoping to get these dogs out of shelters. Because if we're not setting the example, then people who are just letting puppies be born in their backyards and selling them on Facebook for $50, like...
Our pups aren't $50.
No, but you get what I'm saying. If they're seeing people who are representing themselves as breeders, like official breeders are on the AKC website, however they manage that, then it seems okay for Joe Blow down the street, who just happens to have two kind of look like Labradors, and is like, all right, we'll throw those together and get, No, we have to set the bar higher so that we get far, far away from Joe Blow down the street and he can start to recognize that, oh, this is not acceptable.
But what if they are AKC registered? Doesn't that mean that quality? No. AKC is a breed registry. It just means that mom was a registered and dad was a registered.
It doesn't mean they were health cleared. It doesn't mean they were ever tested before they were bred.
No.
It doesn't even mean that they ever achieved or performed in the AKC world. They can have never even gotten a CGC or...
Had any health tests done.
Yeah, nothing. They don't even have... You can get your AKC number and then never check back in with them again.
Yep. People want a lot for their puppies. Yeah, I'm not even going to tell you what we charge for ours. It's a lot. But they're worth it. They're worth more than that.
Yeah, that's what I said. We're talking about being number one service dogs breeder. Right. If you want number two, you're in the wrong spot.
Exactly. Purebred does not equal well-bred. You got it exactly.
Yes.
So what do they do with the dogs? How is their temperament? And that's the next thing you want to look at is temperament. Now, I've had people say, well... Oh, wait a minute. One thing I want to go back on is genetic. Why do we breed the ones with who are carriers? There's nothing wrong with being a carrier. If we get rid of all the carriers in a gene pool, we will cause that genetic bottleneck of genetics. I guess genetic bottleneck of genetics. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah, because if there's two that are not carriers of that, they're more likely to have other genetic similarities. And it might not be anything bad. It might not be anything that causes them health concern. But if they end up with being paired with another dog that does have that exact same gene pool, it can be icky. It can get icky in other ways.
Oh, yeah. So if there's, say, 100 dogs, and even a quarter of them are carriers of something in being bred, and we get rid of that, then we're down to 75 dogs who are able to be bred. So we want to make sure that we're good. So moving on to temperament. So I just wanted to spill that out there, okay? So temperament, we want good temperament. Now, what is a good temperament? Well, that's going to depend on your breed. For Goldens, you want the typical, in your mind, a Golden temperament, loves everybody. A burglar comes to your house and your Golden meets him at the tennis ball with, I love you, you're the best in the world, right? You might not meet the dad. We met AJ for the first time earlier this week. She came down to visit, and AJ is the father of these two litters and the father of the princess litter, and we hadn't met him in real life.
But he has performed extremely well in the show ring, and that isn't something, extremely well. That is not something he could have done without the proper Golden temperament, because those judges do judge the temperament.
And they go like this, to check their nuts, and they didn't get turned around and bit. So, yay.
Yes. And in those high levels of competition, like maybe at your local, shows, if you're just going for fun, the judges might not judge your dog as harshly on things like temperament.
If you go you get best tail wag.
Yeah. But if you're winning like AJ is, best Golden Retriever of
2021,
they for dang sure made sure he had a Golden Retriever's temperament.
Yeah. And that's actually not the first time we've used the best of. We used Stone, was dad for our mermaid litter, and he was best Golden in 2018. So we were like, well, we have Flounder and Sebastian from that litter. And then we have Bosco, and then we're going to keep probably 2 girls and a boy from this litter. So if we breed, how can that work? And it's kind of exciting.
It is exciting. It is very exciting.
But yeah, temperament, and you want to be able to remove the dog from the breeding program at any time. And it could be for a health reason. It could be for a temperament reason. You're also probably not going to meet the daddy, and it's okay. It's okay. well, the dad's not on property. The dad's probably not going to be on property.
No, because we're trying to spread genetic diversity, right?
Yeah. So we import dogs, semen from different states. Shuttle in dog semen from different states to help with that.
Next question. So how do we, if we ask the breeders, like these people who go to get puppies from somewhere other than us, and they go, what kind of temperament testing are you doing for puppies? What would be an alarming response? What would make you turn around and go, nope, not this guy, not buying from you?
So I was going with a friend, and we had to do a video call for a litter. And the puppies, there were 3 males that she was looking at. One of them came in, was all nice and confident. Another one came in and was scared to death, hugged the wall and peed himself. And the other one came in and did the same thing.
Did you ask the breeder what kind of temperament testing did you do?
Well, we were telling her this is what you're going to do. So we had sent her, this was a few years ago, so we were going to do Volhard, but it was a week early. And so we're watching those and we're like, oh my. Now, as I talk to people, when I talk to stud owners, I like to get some information, how are they doing? Tell me how he is around people. Is he a happy dog? What do you like to do for fun with them? And if it's, he never leaves the house. Why doesn't he ever leave the house? How is he when you go to the vet? Oh, he doesn't like to go to the vet. He's very scared. Well, that's not going to be a dog that I'm going to want as a stud. I actually had a phone call once from a woman who wanted me to rehab her aggressive Rottweiler male. He was super aggressive. And then she's like, oh, well, he just had a litter, and he's the dad of this litter. And then she wants to donate me a puppy from this super aggressive dad.
She wanted to donate you a puppy?
Yeah.
Give it to you like a gift?
Yeah, for Hope. She wanted to donate so he could go on to be a service dog and help people. And guys, that genetic stuff is key. I think they take looks from dad. So that think about it as a reproductive thing, right? If the baby comes out and doesn't look like dad, dad's gonna be like, I don't think that's my baby. So I think when they come out, they're gonna look like dad. And I think temperament is gonna come more from mom, but some of that stuff, guys, is genetic.
Yes.
Well, no, it's not. It's all in nurture, not nature. No, it's both. Or herding dogs wouldn't be able to herd just because they see goats.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be like, I don't know what to do here. That light switch just flicked on.
Yeah, anybody who's spent any time around herding breed puppies knows their mamas are not sitting out there teaching them what to do. Yeah. They come out and they start going for it.
Yeah, they do.
And it's beautiful to watch. And same golden retrievers. If the puppy is not just friendly from the start, then it didn't get the right
basements. But basement puppies are dogs who are pretty much ignored. And that's not good. Now, one of the great things with us being a 501c3 nonprofit is we get volunteers. We get volunteers who come in, who'll spend time with puppies, who'll play with puppies. We have people who come in just to cuddle the puppies, which is pretty awesome.
It's not just a free-for-all in here where anybody can come and go, because I know some of you have probably heard when you ask your breeder what kind of socialization have they had, and they'll say, oh, I got my grandkids run through the house all the time. These puppies have been out in the yard. They go out and play and run with the other dogs. They ain't scared of nothing. Nothing. That's not what we want to hear. I want to hear what was your socialization protocol? At what mile markers in their development were you introducing things like loud noises, different forms of touch, different spaces within the home? I don't want the puppies to have spent their entire 8 weeks in the same room.
In the basement.
Yeah, in the basement. Even if your grandkids were running through there 3 times a day screaming, that doesn't mean that your puppies were properly socialized. I tell people we start training these puppies at 3 days old, which may sound crazy, but it's what we do. We have a set schedule that we keep that ensures that these puppies are not only, we've given them the best genetic possibility we could by all the testing and everything that you do with parents, and oftentimes you can look back and see grandparents' testing scores.
Yes.
Which is pretty neat. And now we are operating on that nurture side, because the genetic testing helped us with nature, and the protocol that we keep in raising helps us with nurture. And at the end of it, we have perfect golden retrievers.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10 anyway. Sometimes you end up with one with a little spot in their eye, or, something that you can...
A mouth that goes like this.
Yeah, or a mouth that goes like this. Beautiful little sparkles.
We got a question here. What do you do if a puppy doesn't get an A+ on the temperament test? So we used to do the Volhard temperament test, and what we found with Volhard is because it's supposed to be at day 49, which is 7 weeks old, and that's it. 15 minutes, because we take the puppy outside to potty him, bring him into a room they hadn't been in, and then we would do the temperament test, and then they'd get some cuddles because it was the volunteer had stayed away for this reason to be able to do this for us.
Yeah.
And then they get another potty break, and then the next dog would come, and it was just too long per puppy, and it was exhausting. So what the temperament tells you is where the dog needs help.
Yeah.
What the dog needs to work on.
And I want my breeders to, at the very least, be doing the Volhard temperament test. But if they're not doing a Volhard temperament test, I want to know how do you then ensure that if we gave these dogs a Volhard temperament test, they would likely have scored well for their breed.
And actually, I was talking to somebody she was a trainer, and she was telling me that this breeder, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this was like so good, and if not, I'm going to forget about it, that this breeder was faking results because she was exposing the dog to these things ahead of time. Ahead of the 7 weeks old, she was exposing them to new things like umbrellas opening and going underneath things and toys in the environment. And I'm like, as a breeder, that is our job, is to set these puppies up for success.
That's not cheating.
Right? Yeah.
It's not.
I'm like, every breeder should then cheat at the temperament test.
Yes, cheat. We want you to cheat.
Well, no, because it's supposed to be the first time they're introduced to it. No, they're looking at how the dog recovers and what the dog does. So that's what you're looking at during it. So what we came up with is a bastardized version of the Volhard temperament test that we just call our puppy temperament test. And what we did with the last litters is we tested them in the office. And yes, they had been in there before, and we tested them, and yes, they knew us. But what we did is we went Facebook Live, so you can look back on Facebook and find it, guys, through the Hope Service Dogs page. And we get things out, like here's a ball toy, here's a flirt pole, here's an umbrella, here's a stuffy, here's the wheelchair, here's some different things, and what do the dogs do? And as we're doing the test, we call out things like, oh, yellow just went and got the toy. Oh, purple just, put his little front paws on the wheelchair and pushed.
And maybe wasn't startled by the movement of the wheelchair, or was, but then recovered quickly and then went back to try it a second time. What I want you guys to think of with the Volhard temperament test is, what is it that those items are trying to test for? What are they looking for? And then you can come up with
different ways
to do it, to do their recovery response, to do their forgiveness response, to do their
the following. You walk through, and do they follow you? We do that outside during puppy walks.
But we can have somebody new to them. We can pick a volunteer and say, hey, will you just walk through here and see if this puppy will follow you? Great.
We throw mama out there. We're like, see if they follow. And any dog that they see, they're like, that might be a mama. And Bert's out there sometimes, and he's like, I'm not a mama.
Yeah.
Right? But, how are they with these different things? It is a big part of it. But if I had everybody in the litter who wanted a mobility dog, and I knew what I was looking for a mobility dog, I'm not going to get a whole litter of mobility dogs. I might get a few, but I'm not going to get a whole litter of mobility dogs. Instead, we'll get some people who want mobility, some people who want medical alert scent-based, some people who want medical alert sight-based, some maybe a therapy dog or a companion dog.
Psychiatric.
Yeah. So because of the combination there, we can put that together into a litter. And it works, and it works out really good.
Testing to see who fits what piece. So if we know we've got somebody that needs psychiatric and somebody that needs mobility, we're going to test those puppies based on these needs. And we're going to put, let's say puppy A is more likely to forgive things like, being held down or picked up or something that's meant to cause them a little bit of distress, because that's the point in that part of the Volhard temperament test, is to see how are they at handling a little bit of distress. Then we may want to see, okay, this puppy forgives really quickly. This puppy is not one to become upset when things are made uncomfortable for him. Well, great. Then we might want to really consider that one for the psychiatric, right? If they do things like self-harm, pushing, throwing, stuff like that, that is going to require a dog that has a higher level of emotional resilience to things that might be considered uncomfortable.
And by exposing the dogs when they're puppies with us to light minor stressors and seeing how they respond, it's totally different to do that, what we just mentioned, than it would be to bombard the dog day and night with music playing constantly. and to bombard the dog with lights and waking him up all the time from a sleep. And, here's more toys and more toys and more toys and more toys. Like that's setting the dog up for failure to not understand how to handle stress well. Whereas the other way, our way of doing it, gives them little stress inoculations.
Yeah.
And it works out really nicely. We do have a wait list. For information, just let me know. Because again, we have like 20 puppies coming and we have like 20 plus on the wait list. But it doesn't mean everybody's going to be good.
So comforting to know that you did extra scent training or testing with Gala for My Medical Alert. Yeah, because we knew that's what you needed. So we wanted to get you the best fit for that.
Definitely. Yeah. And so we have, we use Nosy Nose for that. And, to see how does the dog like scent. Now, we've had some dogs who will you can take some canned food and smear it, and that dog will follow that whole scent trail. We have others who don't. And they're like, I don't care.
Yeah. If they don't see the can of tuna right there in the center of the floor, they're not sniffing for the little scent trail that you...
Right. So those ones have been the best. And then what the owners are like, he magically alerts to me. And I'm like, it's not magic.
Yeah, it's not magic. Vicky really worked on that.
Like, it's something we're really good with. So, health and care. So, what we do with the mamas, when the mamas come into heat, even before they come into heat, there's 5 supplements that we start adding to their food. And then that is fish oil. Okay, so that's for the omegas. Probiotics, vitamins, blueberries, and folic acid. Okay, those are the 5 that we'll start adding, and they will be on it until the puppies are weaned and go home. They get off of any glucosamine and any extra calcium. So no more milk, no yogurt, nothing like that. No pudding. And they get pudding later, which is why I said pudding. But it's not like the pudding that you're going to buy at the store for yourself.
Oh, it's not like the Dole or Yoplait or...
Right, it's Yoplait. No, it's not. It's the one that, with the probiotics for people who can't poop good. No, I'm kidding. It's not. It's not. Don't buy that for your dog.
Don't feed your dog probiotic pooping pudding.
Probiotic pooping pudding. We're going to market it. Progesterone test we'll do for the dogs. We will also check brucellosis. Ours have always tested negative, but we like to have that on record. So we will do that every time. We will do thyroid tests, and we will start them on Baytril to take care of any raging infections or little infections of the hoo-ha. Okay.
We have a quick question I'm going to throw in there. In the market for another SD, what would you need to look for in a cardiac alert dog? So for me, I would want a dog that is attentive, and readily reactive. So a dog that can...
Reactive the nice way, not reactive like...
Yeah, reactive the nice way. I mean, readily reactive in it does not take a lot of stimuli to get their attention, right? Because if you're wanting a cardiac alert to your heart rate, you need that dog to be very sensitive, right? Because your heart rate isn't...
So I'm going to cut Sam off and say, if you're looking for a cardiac alert dog for dysautonomia, that's all you got to do is tell me that, and I will find one who's good for you. Okay, a lot of people they'll tell me, I want a cardiac alert dog, I want a blood pressure alert dog, or I want a pulse alert dog. And my first question to them is always, but do you? Because you know what? I feel wonky a lot of the time. And the last thing I want when I'm feeling wonky is for my dog to be bugging me saying, hey, you don't feel good. 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 I know I don't feel good. Leave me alone. Just lie down. Right? So I would rather have a dog who does medical response and medical recovery, retrieves, and deep pressure therapy than a dog who's like, hey, it's happening again. You know what's going on again. I know you can't do anything about it because we're just waiting for it to pass. But hey, can you imagine if Bert did that?
No, he'd just be in your lap constantly. You wouldn't be able to get anything done. I prefer not to do medical cardiac alert as well.
Yeah, so it's something that if you really want it, but if you do, we do look for scent-based because that's what we go, right? So that would be scent-based. Now, I've also talked to people who will tell me they have seizures, but they're not like seizures, epileptic seizures. Sometimes it'll be a seizure of non-organic origin, I've had people tell me, or as we try to drill down to it, because I'm not saying like, but are they really seizures? To see if you qualify as having a service dog and if you're disabled enough, because that is not up to me. It's not like there's 5 service dogs and I have to give them to the most disabled and I'm the queen of disabilities and I get to find out who those most disabled and deservings are. It's not that way, right? So if you want to do, if you're like, no, I really think a service dog would help me, here's what I have to work with, here's where I'm at, we get to talk and we get to see if a service dog is right for you. Maybe it's not right for you at this time. Maybe it is. I don't know. But totally lost my train of thought. I tell you, they took Adderall off. What was that, like 2 months ago? And man, those effects are really kicking in now. Or maybe I'm just really tired.
You have done a lot today. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we did school career day with Bert and with
Clover.
See, this is thank you, Sam. We did that, and then we went out and met up with Nicole and Carolyn, Sam and Ray, and me and Rich, and we were there for what, like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
And then came home, and Rich took a nap. And usually I'm the one to take naps.
I thought you'd be asleep for sure. I was surprised to see you awake when I came in here. But.
Yeah, and that's why I'm having some caffeine now, is to try to like help get me through until 10, so I sleep good, because I haven't been sleeping good because I missed you.
Oh, I'm back now.
Right?
Right in the backyard.
Right. Oh, I know. The seizure stuff. So sometimes if it is not a chemical imbalance that's causing the seizures, and guys know I'm not a medical professional, right? I'm a dog trainer and breeder. So if I get the terminology wrong, bear with me. Sometimes they're getting a seizure because of stress or because of psychiatric something or other, right? And if that's the case, it might not be scent related. It might be sight related. Okay? Mm-hmm. So if you start staring off into the distance and then you start rocking and then you kind of have a seizure that way, right? It might not be scent related. And if it is not scent related and we're trying to scent train a dog for you and it's not scent related, well, then that'd be stupid of us to do.
Yeah, I would much prefer to have the dog trained for this sight response and then to interrupt whatever I'm doing that's, got me on the path towards being so stressed that I have a seizure if they are stress or psych induced.
Yeah, and it's not like it happens all the time, and it's not like it's going to be everybody's, but like I said, it is something that we look for and that we ask, and if we ask you, it's because like it's come up before, right?
Yeah, it's not because we're trying to say, you're not sick enough for our dogs.
Right.
Yeah, we just want to help you the best we can, and your breeders, if you choose any other breed, they should be doing the same. They should be doing the same, whether it's for service work or therapy work or pets.
Yep.
You want them to be looking for you, the best dog to fit you and your needs. And if you go to a breeder and try to buy a puppy and they don't ask you any questions, that's a freaking red flag. If they're just willing to give you any old puppy they have.
I happen to have a dog who's like 4 months old, and I was going to keep her for myself, but I've decided not to, and she'd be perfect for you.
That's convenient.
Right? Isn't that convenient?
Yeah.
And she's just perfect, and I just kept her, and I just decided not to. Really? Did you?
And did you even ask me any questions before you said she was perfect for me?
Yeah. One of my clients, whenever we were still working with dogs outside of our breeding program, I always tell people, I've been telling people Goldens and then Labs and Poodles, but Goldens. And if you need 4, it's Goldens, Labs and Poodles.
Yeah, for the Fab 4.
Right.
Goldens, Labs and Poodles.
Right. They went out and got a Golden from someone who happened to have one available. And that dog was aggressive and ended up, they had another little dog in the home, and the Golden took the other dog's eye out.
My God.
Yeah, I was like, holy smokes. And then we'll get people who want scent for multiple things, and I'm like, well, we're not going to teach him, like, he's going to hit me here if it's diabetic, here if it's heart rate, here if it's blood pressure, and here if it's something else. Gluten. Like, so can they scent for stress? I have no idea. There's been no studies on it, just like there's no studies on dysautonomia alert dogs. However, I have trained many of them because I guess I smell really good, and I've been training them for years for people. Like, I've had some of my dogs have been, like our Malinois was for medical alert, and that's why I was like, I really don't like this, because he would run and dive bomb on me when I wasn't feeling great, when it was starting. And if y'all have dysautonomia, some of it happens in the bathroom, so I would have to shut the bathroom door so he couldn't come in with me. Because I didn't need him in there saying like, hey, guess, I know.
Yeah, I'm in here. I'm dealing with it. Thank you.
Yeah, right. And don't expect a breeder to give you a discount because you want it as a service dog. Okay, apparently people do that with breeders. And we haven't had that issue. No, I had somebody who was telling me they wanted me to give them a free dog because they're a trainer and they're really good. And so if we have a dog that nobody else can handle, we can give it to them.
We have a dog that nobody else can handle. What the hell happened?
Yeah, you do know it's Goldens, right?
Right. Also, did you not just hear everything we talked about that we do to ensure that we don't end up with a dog that nobody else can handle?
Yeah.
Lordy.
Cortisol, that's a stress hormone. It could be, and you get people who are like, oh, you can train for this. And that's why I just say What we do is we teach the dogs that scent has meaning, okay? And then we teach them this is normal and this is not.
Yep.
So a lot of times you don't need it, but you might in the beginning say like, oh, I don't know if it's this, that, or the other. But, y'all figure it out.
Yeah, you'll figure it out for sure. I have stress-induced narcolepsy without cataplexy, so I will lose consciousness. And my service dog, I still to this day don't know if she was alerting on scent or behavior, but she could always get to me and always either interrupt whatever to get me on the right path where I did not lose consciousness, or be there for when I did. So she was able to perform her tasks, but I don't know if it was based on scent or sight. I just know she did it.
Yeah.
And I was able to train it to where she would respond. But I still don't know.
Yeah.
If she could pick up on the scent before I was doing whatever she was seeing, but...
Right, and she might have done it maybe on scent. Maybe the next one I'll do it on sight, too.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know.
No.
So, the best we can do is what we do. But like I said, I see some of these baby trainers. I'm like, oh, honey, that's not how it goes. So hopefully they'll live and learn and then get loves.
Yeah, I got super lucky. My retired service dog is 11 years old, by the way. So all of this was when I first started using her as a service dog. It was before I had even delved into the realm of service dog training for myself. Or for myself and other clients. So training my own service dog was the first one.
Can you train for ketotic hypoglycemia? If that's diabetic lows and highs, I've done diabetics before, diabetic alert dogs. I usually recommend them to somebody else now who specializes in it, because with that thing, Dexcom, I just don't need them as much. Like most people go for Dexcom because you're not going to wait 2 years to get the Dexcom to work. And yeah, is it going to be accurate 100%? No, Mom just actually had to come, because I do have glucometers here, and she'd given me her last glucometer, but she had to calibrate it to make sure it was accurate. And then they had to change stuff up because hers was reading like 300 instead of like 100, which is really bad. Turns out like it was messed up somehow. So they got a new Dexcom in because they had switched who was supplying it, but now it's all fine. And it turns out she wasn't in the 300s for a couple months. But sometimes they're not going to work. Will a service dog help as a backup? Yes. Do you want to spend $20,000 to $40,000 on one? That's a lot of Dexcoms.
Yeah, that's a lot of Dexcoms. And I get, we were talking to someone the other day who I recommended the Dexcom for, and she said it's her young son was who she was wanting the service dog trained for in conjunction with the Dexcom, just so she could feel, and her young son is nonverbal, and like there were lots of reasons that she would want to have every base covered.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that at all. But I want you to set yourself up with the best service dog prospect that you can, because what's worse than spending $20,000 plus on a service dog? It's finding out that service dog's not going to do the job. How terrible.
They don't give you refunds.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we do everything that we can to make sure our dogs are successful. We also, for the mamas, was appropriate exercise and rest, like our mamas who are preggers. Oh my gosh, they're so huge. Like, yes, they'll get some run around outside time.
They are.
But they're not going to go play ball with everybody.
No, and they're not playing like with the younger, more rambunctious puppies. We don't want them knocked into.
Yeah. So like we have a 7-month-old, like a year plus, and like a year and a half and a year and a half. And they can go outside kind of and play, but we try to keep the mamas inside. And now that if we get to Monday or Tuesday, they can safely deliver. They're not due until Wednesday and Thursday. So they're going to have an easy weekend inside in the bedroom here. And that's where we're at now. Mm-hmm. And Bert's in here too. He's actually the one in the whelping box.
As long as everybody's chill and cool, they can keep living just normally as if they did before they got pregnant.
Yeah.
But we do make sure that they don't go outside. When Bert goes outside to have his rambunctious fetch session with Rick, we're not letting the 7.5-week-old pregnant or the 8.5-week-old pregnant mamas go out there with him.
Yeah.
No.
But whenever everyone else gets crated, I don't crate these guys. They get free run. So like we went today to meet up with a friend, and the mamas were free. Mamas and Lucy were free. We had Bert, and the other ones got crated.
So that's another thing about ethical breeders is how do they live in the home, right? Because I've seen so many breeders that have these beautiful kennel setups, but the dogs never actually live in the home. And to me, for some breeds, that I guess could be fine, right? But
I don't care. I don't care if it's a Malin. Like my Malin was a home dog.
Yeah,
both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, that's what I would want, but I know there's crazy people out there that are like, no, I want my dog purely for sport.
Yeah, I want to go get them, sport them, and put them back when I'm done. Well, what type of life is that? And I know, like, I specialize in service dogs and all, but there's a reason I specialize in service dogs, and we're doing Goldens.
Yeah,
and that's because, mine live in-home. Like, we'll often, we have 2 whelping boxes up now, so check our TikTok out. We're going to be doing some video walkthroughs to show you the whelping setup. But we have 2 giant whelping boxes. One's 4 foot by 6 foot, one's 4 foot by 4 foot, set up in our bedroom. Mm-hmm. And they will be here for at least the next month.
Yes, they will.
So, like, we've got the setup going on here. And if not, we would have, while we're doing this, instead of having 3 dogs lying by us, we'd have 8 dogs lying at our feet. And that's a typical thing that happens. We've had people coming out this week to meet up with us. We'll meet them out on the patio. We have 8 dogs lying around our feet out on the patio. Like, my dogs are house dogs. I do not have kennel. Like, kennels outside for them.
Nope.
When I was a member of the dog club up in Gainesville, we were at somebody's house for one of the matches. They have to do a fun match in order to do the AKC show, which is the one that brought them in the money. So you could do one of each a year at the time. And she had beautiful kennel built outside. And she was saying something about how only one of her dogs is allowed inside her house and the other ones have to be kennel dogs. And then she also had the gall to say to me, isn't it nice being around all these purebred dogs instead of those mutts that you hang out with? Because I did so many pet dogs and service dog things. I'm like, my mutts that live in the house, on the couch, and travel with their owners everywhere because they're service dogs? Like, are we really having this conversation?
Yeah.
So where are the dogs at?
Where are the dogs at? And can you see where they're at? And I get that you're not going to be able, you should not be able to just walk into the whelping room and say, I want to see exactly where these puppies are, because we are trying to prevent the spread of disease, and these little babies are particularly susceptible to certain things. So don't be offended if your breeder says, no, you can't actually see the whelping area, you can't actually see the babies, but you should see, how are the other dogs living? How are the dogs that aren't the parents of your litter living? And if they're in crappy conditions, then the chances are your dog's parents were probably in crappy conditions too.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. And yes, I have crates for the dogs, and I will put them in crates because they should be able to be in crates.
Crate train. That's what we're doing, is crate training, not locking up merchandise. You know, we're not storing, what do they call it?
Theft control?
Yeah, it's not theft control, or we're not taking inventory. You know, we're not locking up the inventory when we put the dogs to bed. They'll just go in bed. They're just going to be crate trained.
Yeah.
They don't live in there.
Right? Well, they live in the bedroom, but when mamas come, it's just mamas allowed in here for the first few days. And then usually Gypsy's the first one allowed in, and the mamas are very protective. So we go very slow with it, but that means that every time we open up the door to the hallway, there's every other dog there waiting, and you have to like walk around them, and they're like, oh my God, you're back. So then, sometimes at night they're in the hallway. Sometimes at night we do put them in crates during these, like week. But yeah. And
we just train them as their babies. Like the puppies that stay on for the training programs get kennel trained, because that's what you do. And if you are getting from a breeder who is claiming to offer training as well,
yes.
Look at the results of their training. Go through, see if you can get some references, see if any of their former litters have gone on to do anything spectacular, if they have Facebook or social media, like someone from their former litter.
And it's 2023, guys. They better have social media. What is up with these breeders having these web pages from the 1990s?
Yeah, I don't know what that's about.
It's terrible. Like, it does not cost that much to do your own website. It doesn't take that much to have your own website
and
that's
it adds
updated.
A layer of transparency, right?
Yeah.
Having everything out, not everything, but lots of things out there on social media, and having a platform that people can interact with your former clients on.
Yeah.
Social media makes that possible.
With all the breeders that we've gone through with different things, only one of them has a Facebook group. I mean, we've had for a while. But and then I could see why, is they don't want them to know each other. And I'm like, that's sad.
Yeah.
That's scary sad. I mean, some of them are older and they just don't understand this newfangled technology of computers.
Proof
and I get
is in
that.
the pudding. That's right, Holly. The proof is in the pudding. But if you never see the pudding, if they're hiding the pudding,
it's because it's the poop making pudding.
Yeah, it's the poop making pudding.
So yeah, but where are the dogs kept at? What conditions are they kept in? Do they do C-sections or natural? We do natural deliveries as much as we can here. We've only done one C-section. That was Candy, because the first litter was born dead. for the Dobermans. So the second litter, we did a planned C-section. And it's very controversial. However, why we do natural is, one, it's easier on the mama. Two, it's easier on the puppies. We've had really good luck with puppy survival. We do lose a few. I think we lost 2 puppies last year.
But I think, did Rich say that was the first ones you'd
lost for the whole year?
For the whole year,
for the whole year. So it happens, and it's heartbreaking whenever it happens. Yeah. But I like the lower stress that happens when the puppies are born here. Like I said, they're born in my my bedroom. We've got a TV. You know what we do is we play Disney movies. So this is the Pocahontas and the Princess and the Frog litter. So guess what movies we're going to start with watching, right? So we watch those. We'll put on different movies. We'll put on music. When they're whelped onto fleece mats. And so when the puppies start to root to find mama to get something to eat, they have fleece. They have some grip for their little feet to hopefully help with better hips, which will help everybody out in the long run. You know, I've seen breeders who the dogs are born onto quilts or blankets or sheets or boxes, cardboard boxes, or newsprint or unprinted newsprint, or towels. That is not where I want my puppies whelped. I want my puppies whelped onto the fleece bedding. And if you look at the whelping boxes right now, there is a whelping mat on top of it, and that's to keep it clean because my dogs will jump into it right now. But once the puppies start coming, that gets removed.
Yeah, so when I said don't be expected to be shown, like to be able to go into the whelping space, you should still be able to see it if you want. You should know how those puppies are whelped, what materials are they whelped onto, and then what materials do they live those first weeks of their life on, because
formative,
especially for hip development, knees, elbows, you want to have the proper surfaces underneath those puppies' feet.
Yep. Most definitely. And then we'll start about 3 days with the early neurological scent, the early scent introduction, and with adding some obstacles. We add some rolled up tiles as bumpers. We'll add some egg crate foam. We'll add some sensory tiles that are from like little kids. We'll start adding those in. Princess got Bucky Bear, which was a gift from one of Bucky's dear friends. And once Bucky passed, it is now Bucky Bear, and he goes in and he'll be in there with the litters, and it's this big stuffed teddy bear. And he's Bucky Bear, and it was so cute because Princess would put her puppies on Bucky Bear's legs and like leave because Bucky Bear was babysitting. Right? But yeah, so it works out really nice. Create valleys for them. You betcha.
That's a good idea. Anything that can get them to use those little legs, get the legs underneath them, positioned correctly as they should be through development, and get them experiencing those light stressors that we talked about earlier.
Achievable stressors, achievable goals, right? And awesomeness whenever they get them. So what happens when they go over the hill and into the valley and over the hill? They get mama and food.
Yes, so they learn that there is reinforcement for overcoming that light stressor.
Yep. What's the process? Go to our website, which is hopeservicedogs.org. Check us out. If we're what you're looking for, fill out an application and schedule up a phone call.
Yeah, you'll get to talk to one of us, or maybe Rich.
Yep. We'll make Rich do more phone calls. I usually do them, but yeah.
Yeah, Vicky does do them. She's
queen bee of doing them.
Yeah, and you're just so good at talking, and you know everything.
I do. It's when Rich talks to people, he's like, I don't know.
Ask Vicky.
Yeah.
Me and Rich both. That's like our catchphrase. Ask Vicky.
Right. Sounds like a Vicky question to me. We'll also use something called pig rails, and that is a little shelf around the bottom. So if puppies are underneath it and mama lies in the corner, she's not going to squish a puppy. The puppy can right out of the way.
And do you have pictures of like your whelping setup and everything?
We do, but we're going to do new, because we always do new every time we have a litter to let people see and what's going on.
Yeah, so if you check out the Hope Service Dogs Instagram page, or even TikTok videos, you'll see, I think you've done full-on videos of this is what the whelping setup is.
This is how we clean it. This is what we do. This is how we make the mom their food and all their supplements and everything.
Yeah, so if you just look through her video library on this TikTok page, you'll see just everything. It's complete transparency.
Yes, and then whelping boxes. We have John Art whelping boxes.
They're so nice. Oh my gosh, they're nice.
And it's not just because they are better pictures because of the background with the white fleece and the white whelping box. They make the golden puppies pop.
They're easy to clean.
Yes.
They're durable, because my big butt gets in there and leans on the walls when I'm snuggling puppies, you know.
Yes. She doesn't have a big butt, but yes, she'll lay down in there with them.
I do lay down in there.
Do you train service dogs that are not of our litter? I do not. Sam does right now, but I don't know how much time she's going to have to do that.
I am pretty booked at the moment.
But yeah, I no longer do, because for us, like, we keep some dogs from every litter, stay for our puppy programs, and some of those go to Sam. But what was happening was it was just too much. Like, we'd have, like, here's the litter of puppies, and then here's this other dog or two. And as we knew what was coming down the pike, you know, I wasn't taking in dogs, but we had some already on the books. And it was a little bit of a headache for me, because, like, I know what these guys are working on now. This dog has to work on something different, and then these guys, and then that dog again. So I was like, no, we're not doing any others. It's just easier to focus on what these puppies need.
You have so many moving pieces and parts here to this operation that when something that doesn't fit into exactly
it's not the right cog.
Yeah, it's not the right cog. So when it comes in, it kind of throws a wrench in everything.
Can you open the door and let Lita out? I think she might have to potty.
You want to go potty?
And she can't come out over this way, so she has to go out that way.
I'll take her all the way out.
Okay, thank you.
Come on, Lita.
Yeah, so health and care of the dogs, what's going on. Puppy development is going to be next, so I can hold off a little bit for Sam for that one. But so if you guys have any questions, now is the time to post them, and I will see what I can answer. But yeah, we want to talk about puppy development. Now, did you know the highest amount of learning is going to happen between 4 and 16 or 14 weeks old? 16 usually, right? Between 4 and 16 weeks old, the highest amount of learning is going to happen. So 8 weeks old is when puppies go home. If you have somebody who's trying to send you a puppy home before 8 weeks old, run for the hills. Okay? We've got some dogs in before that. We'll get clients who would get dogs in 6 weeks old, 7 weeks old, and, you know, they can have issues. However, I have mamas here, I have puppies here sometimes. So for me, it's a different story. For you guys, don't take them unless they're at least 8, maybe 10 weeks old. Just for the best with the mama. How do you know when a puppy is perfect for service work? When we're done with this, rewatch, because we talked about temperament testing a little bit earlier. Part of it is nurtures, part of it is nature. So the highest amount of learning the first 16 weeks. So that's some of the weeks while they're with us. Then from 8 weeks to 16 weeks, well, that's 8 weeks of learning. That's 2 months, right? But you haven't had a puppy in a while. If you had a puppy, maybe it's been 5 years or 10 years since you've had a puppy. And now you're like, crap, I don't remember what I'm supposed to do. And I have this, like, job that pays the bills. And what am I supposed to do with a puppy? And so a lot of people lose out on that first 16 weeks where your puppy's just an absorbent little sponge. And yes, they will continue learning afterwards, but the highest amount of learning happens that first 16 weeks. So what we do is we do a combo of puppy culture and Avidog. Now, puppy culture is like kindergarten, Avidog's like college, right? Avidog will give you a better rundown of what you need to be doing, and we've done both. And like I said, now we have our own kind of hybrid version of what we like to do. We'll do the early neurological stimulation and the early scent introduction starting at 3 days old. We'll do minimal handling to not stress out the puppy or the mama dog, because that's not good either. Sensory items and toys, which we've discussed a little bit earlier. We'll also do, at 3 weeks old, their eyes are open, their ears are open, they can potty on their own, because did you know the little puppies can't see or hear when they're born, and they cannot potty on their own either. Mom has to stimulate them, which is as fun as it sounds. So they don't get kisses. They don't give kisses during that time to us, because that's gross. At what age is a service puppy fully trained? Are they ever? So a lot of times about 6 months old, our dogs, if they stay with us until 6 months, they're doing deep pressure therapy and retrieve. They're good out in public. They still have a long ways to go. They're only 6-month-old puppies, right? But are they a service dog? When you get your driver's license at 16, are you the world's most bestest, goodest driver ever and never make a mistake? But you can operate the vehicle legally, right? So I tell people it's kind of the same thing with the service dog. It's 6 months old. Is it a service dog in training or a service dog? It depends on your state laws. But some airports will travel a fully trained service dog. Well, a trained service dog. I'm not going to say fully trained, but a trained service dog at 4 months old or 16 weeks old. So it's currently up to whoever's asking why you need it, right? But training never ends. So 6 months old, can the dog work? Yes. Should you expect the dog to work full time? No. The dog must be only part-timing. And to be successful, we want the dog to end up like with an A at the end of every training session, at the end of every day. So how can we get that dog to have an A? How can we set that dog up for success? And then understanding that it doesn't mean that training is over and you don't have to do anything, that you will continue training. So about a year, they're better. 2 years, they're even better. 3 years, you're like, dude, you are my soulmate, and like, I get you and you get me, and this is amazing. Okay? So 3 weeks old, we start potty training with potty trays and clicker training. By about 4 months old, most of the time they're pretty good potty training wise. They could still have some accidents, but usually they're pretty good by 4 months. Another thing, you can wet everything. And Ginger has to go out too. She was like, oh my gosh. No MLMs. So there's something called NuVet, N-U-V-E-T, and some breeders really push for that. And they'll say that the that the puppy guarantee is based on you signing up and buying this NuVet product. And that's baloney. You don't need to buy a NuVet product, right? It's a vitamin. There's better vitamins out there than one that the breeder gets a kickback for every puppy in every litter. It's ridiculous. So watch out for MLM things. Is the dog with mom and litter mates? Now guess what? Mom isn't always with the puppies 24/7. For the first 2 weeks, she does not even want to leave to pee. Like, this is what we have to do here. It's usually a 2-person job. One person takes mama outside. The other person will tell mama, and we tell her this, like, I am watching your puppies. I am right here watching your puppies. You see me right here watching your puppies. You can go outside and potty right now. I will watch your puppies for you. And she'll run outside, pee as quick as she can, and run back in. But as they hit about 3 weeks, eyes open, ears open, they're starting to potty on their own. Mom can go outside and pee, finally. 4 weeks old, it's better. Usually 4 to 5 weeks old-ish is when we set them up in their puppy playpen. And mom still has access and can get in there, but the puppies also are eating at this age. And apparently their poo doesn't taste as good. So mom will go in there and give them a little, drink. But she's not spending as much time in there with them, right? And that's okay. They're still together. They'll still be outside together. She goes in there with them. She'll sometimes lay down and nap with them. But she's trying to give them some independence, and they're learning that it's not all Lord of the Flies. So at 8 weeks old, sometimes when people come to pick up their pups at 8 weeks old, before the pup leaves, he gets a little nip and a sip from mom. And that works. So they should be with mom and litter mates. I have friends who have bred Malinois, and they were like, about 5 weeks old is when we start separating, forcibly separating from mom. And we don't do that. We breed Goldens. We want them to be fantastic. At 7 weeks old-ish, if we know the ones are going home at 8 weeks old, we'll start giving them longer crate times. Now, when we're cleaning out their pen, about 4 weeks onward, they'll go into crates. But about 7.5 weeks, the ones who we know are going home at 8 weeks old, we'll start putting them in crates, so they're in crates overnight. And they're fussy about it at first a little bit because it's something new, and all their litter mates are still in their big playpen together. What the heck? So how do puppies gain independence from mom? They just get some independence. She's not in there as much. She lets them play with each other. She lets them explore the environment. When we have the big puppy playpen, we'll rotate out what toys are in there for them. And we'll switch them up daily. So she'll let them do that. When we're outside, she lets them explore a little bit. We've got a whole bunch of toddler stuff in the puppy yard. And she'll give them, let them have some of that independence, which is fantastic. Oh, that's awesome. Gala came to U.S. Happy hour yesterday for 2 hours, and her eye contact and behavior got refused. She's fantastic. So we get longer and longer crate times, and then as the puppies stay here, usually about 12 weeks, they'll start hopping out of the puppy playpen, in which case the puppy playpen gets taken down, and instead of being able to play all day, now they're crated up a little bit more. So that means they get more time outside because, I don't want to have to, I don't usually clean up the puppy playpen stuff or the puppy poo stuff, but I don't want them to have to clean up puppy poo stuff all the time. So like they get a lot more outings to go potty, and I can't lift them as easily. My shoulder bothers me, and they're usually on the top because they're lighter and it's easier to clean them. But we work on this, and then puppies go home as early as 8 weeks old. Does your breeder match you, or do you get to pick? And if you get to pick, which one are you picking and why? Most people are going to pick the different one. So like one litter, we had a really dark one. Well, that's who everybody liked because he was different. That's not the reason to pick the puppy. Like, we're with them all the time. So that's why we pick. Like, we see what's going on. And until they're about 5 weeks old, they're little potato guinea pigs, and they're all cute, but they don't have, like, the je ne sais quoi that we can find. We want to use that temperament evaluation that we use to decide who goes where. And sometimes I might say, hey, what do you think, blue or yellow? Do you have one that you like better? You like that dog, and this dog's a huge mobility dog, but he doesn't use his nose for anything. I can't place that puppy with you. And it's not who's on the list longer that gets it. It's based on what the puppies are showing us. So, we try to do our best to match. And like everyone should get their dream dog, right? That's my end goal. We send them home with a heartbeat stuffy if they go home at 8 weeks old. I love the heartbeat stuffies. It helps. Luke had a heartbeat bear when he was a little baby human child, and I loved it. So we make sure that we get the heartbeat stuffies for them. And they're usually ones that they've had in the pen with them, and we sent them. So they go home with that scent from mama and litter maids and the household. Food, we'll send them home with the food that they've been on. Clicker is charged with dynamite, so we'll send them home with a clicker. We'll also send them home with some propectolin to help with any upset tummy issues. If there's loose stool, the propectolin will help with that. We'll also recommend a probiotic. Like I said, the Purina Pro Plan Fortiflora is a good one. It's about $1 a packet. You can get it on Chewy, you can get it on Amazon. And if you're doing Purina and you're not submitting your Purina points, talk to me, because we do submit for Hope and we earn gift cards that way. We also recommend about 6 months old. This is for Angus too. Glycoflex 3 and starting a glucosamine supplement. So that's what I like to see with them. That's, to me, what makes an ethical breeder, is a dog who puts health and temperament at the forefront, who does the best that they can to get the dogs to be the best that they can. Some questions that have come up. How can owners help pre-acclimate their new puppy to their home before bringing them home, if at all? That I don't really think you can, because if you send me something to put in, like if you drop ship me toys from Chewy, which I know some people have, they'll play with them. I'll put them in. All the puppies will play with them. The puppies love it whenever they get toys coming in the mail. But if you're like, here's my favorite blanket, I'm probably not going to put it in with them, because, like, you guys know the whole smallpox Indians blanket stuff, right? So I don't, I'm not going to, like, not wash something and be like, here, and, like, find out your dog had parvo and died from it, and this was, like, his favorite blanket. So I have to put the puppies at the forefront. The best things that you can do for your household to get it ready is to have a crate set up maybe in your bedroom, and a crate set up in cell phone charging cords. You don't want to have a dog who gets a hold of things. And I tell you what, I told you we had career day. I brought Albert and we brought Clover. So Albert's about 1.5 years now, and Clover, it's 4 months. And we didn't have a crate for them. And our idea at first was going to be, we had 4 sessions, so we were going to bring Albert, Clover, and 2 others. But all the puppies went outside today and got filthy dirty while they were outside playing. So they all needed baths except for Clover. So Clover got to go. And Albert was going to go anyway, as long as he didn't get filthy, and he didn't. But we didn't have access to the car because the campus is now on lockdown. So it's chain linked. We couldn't park where we usually park, and we couldn't swap out puppies. So we didn't have a crate for him. So poor dog was up from about 8:30 until noon working. And that's a lot for him. And we were sitting in the front of the classroom. We were in one classroom, and they'd rotate the kids out every 27 minutes. And then it's a 3-minute gap in between. So that's how they broke it down. But it was a lot for the puppy. And he was getting into things. He was pulling on the poo bag. He was eating a tag that was on my chair. He was trying to eat my cup holder on my wheelchair. He was trying to eat some stuff that was in the classroom. He was trying to eat fuzzballs. Guess what? He's a puppy. He's going to explore with his mouth. We did not bring a chew toy for them, which was bad on us. Because we were expecting to swap out. And then at the last minute, we're like, oh, yo. So... And then we didn't have access to the van because we could have just popped them into the van and had the van running with the monitor on it right outside the classroom, and it would have gone fine, except we didn't have access to the van like we were supposed to. So it wasn't what I was expecting, but the whole time I was like, man, we could totally use a crate right now because he needs to sleep. And we came home, and he didn't want to even exit the van because we have crates in the van, right? He didn't want to exit the van because he just wanted to go to sleep. And we got him in here, and he has slept the whole rest of the day. So for working tonight, he just gets some fun, if anything, because it's been such a long day for him, and tomorrow is also going to be a very easy day. So I want people to have realistic expectations of what the dog should be doing and should not be doing. And for that, even though we were just at the front, it was a lot of us talking, so it was touch and target stick and under and spin and circle and oops, retrieve. It was some demo stuff, some heel, and it was just easy. It's not, because he's a 4-month-old puppy and it wasn't easy. Will you have any sponsorship openings? Sponsorship like people sponsoring us? Yes. If you mean sponsorship as in scholarship, our scholarships are for our online course and potentially for when we do workshops in schools. Those are announced for the schools and the workshops. The online course stuff you can always apply for. If you would like if you're asking for a puppy, because whenever Orange County Sheriff made the announcement that we had donated the puppy to them, people started coming out of the woodwork asking, how do we get a free puppy? Well, you know how Orange County Sheriff did it, is they had talked to us about getting a puppy and getting on our puppy wait list, and they wanted to do a puppy program, and they were going to pay for all of it. And I talked to the board, and I said, I really, truly believe that we should donate. And we had Pegasus, and Pegasus was a perfect candidate for it. And so because of that, we told them that we wanted to donate the puppy to them. And they were floored, right? Which is fantastic. But they didn't come asking for it for free, right? If there's a time for it, like I might reach out to people. Oh, yeah, I guess now might be a good time to mention... we do have a dog we're looking for a home for. She will only go as a pet dog, potentially as a therapy dog, or maybe an autism in-home dog. She will not go as a public access service dog because it's Gypsy. And Gypsy was my service dog. She is only 5.5 years old. She's been retired for the last 1.5 years because of her health. Her hips, it's harder for her to get up, move around, and walk. So due to that, I would like to see her hopefully local. But she needs to be in a house with carpeting or runners, preferably with a pool. And that's why she can't go. She can't do the outings. That's why she stopped going out 1.5 years ago. She cannot do service dog stuff, but she has so much love to give. So she was going to remain here and just be favorite auntie to everybody. Except I'll see the puppies will sometimes crash into her and the younglings will sometimes crash into her. And it's getting harder for her to get up. Because I don't have carpet in here because of the puppies. We need something that's easy to clean. Because of my allergies, we need something that's easy to clean and not collect everything. And it's very difficult. So we have a bunch of Corinda dog beds around the house, and it's still difficult for her to get up. So for the right home for Gypsy, I am looking, which it kills you, but I know it's what she needs. So that's one that if you're like, I have carpeting, she's great with other dogs, but it depends on what other dogs you have too, because I'm not putting her in a house with a bunch of other dogs. She can go maybe one other dog, because she's the best. She really is. And she'll love you with her whole heart. So if that's what you're thinking, like I said, her name's Gypsy, message me. Tell me why you're the best for her. Otherwise, I'm going to sign off. We're going to get this uploaded to YouTube, to the podcast. It's up on TikTok, and we dual live streamed it with Facebook and TikTok. Follow, like, share, subscribe, leave us a review, leave us a comment. You can leave us a Google review too. But I know the podcast, you can leave star reviews, and we always appreciate, especially the 5-star ones. We're just a 501c3 nonprofit, guys. But this is Service Dog Success, because we want you to have success with your service dog. And let me know, message me, let me know what you want for our next podcast. Okay? Take care.